Guys, it's the day after we played Everton at home. What a great day we had as friends, as visitors to Nottingham, the City Ground. A couple of shout-outs. I love meeting Kieran, meeting Emily and Emma, and Greg and Laws as usual. All the usuals, and of course Premier Elliott was there, amongst some other of the podcasts we love following. Heart goes out to the people that flew over from the States for yesterday's Dross. We apologise on behalf of the city to any visitors from...
On behalf of the city?
Yeah, on behalf of the city. On behalf of Nottingham and Nottingham Forest Football Club.
Fans are going to get to losses. It's going to happen.
Yeah, right? but when people... Yeah, but you don't want to see losses like that.
Well, let me do the forestallover section and then you can go into it afterwards. We've got Scott Nottingham, his wife and son. They flew in from Virginia, Norfolk and Virginia. Big shout out to them. Absolute legends.
Yeah, Scott, it was lovely to meet you. And I was referring to you a second ago when I...
Yeah, Matt basically...
Devastated for you guys.
Yeah, just relax. So we met Scott at the NAV before and after the game with his family. It was great to meet them. They did the museum tour. Unfortunately, they got a terrible game to go to. It was a really, really pretty worst performance this season. So tough, but in other ways, it's all about the people. And they got to meet loads of people. We got to meet you. So Scott his name is Scott Nottingham, by the way. So big shout out to him. Chief.
Nottingham.
His name's Scott Nottingham.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're breaking... This is a long list we've got to get through.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Chief, Barstool Chief, Dan White, and Chief's brother Patrick, and of course, I think Nikki was there as well. So a big group coming over from Chicago. So big shout out to them. I think it's Chief's birthday today as well. So happy birthday to him. after such a terrible game, but he's long in the tooth in sports, so he'll be well able to handle it. Big shout out to Carl from Chicago, who was over, gave me a Chicago badge. Stuart Clarkson, who showed Brian, Josh and Carl from Idaho around, so people from Idaho flew over this as well. We've got Chris, who flew over from Newport Beach in California. Big shout out to Chris. Dave Sanders, Emma and their kids. I spilled beer on Dave's son, I'm really sorry, but big shout out to them. I met Dave at half time. We've got Jan Stabek, who came up from the southwest with his son Joshy. I met them in the stands, they were just behind me. We've got Eddie from Dublin. Shane, who flew over with me, had a pint of Guinness on the way. Shout out to Shane. We got Ray and his nephew David. We got Premier Elliott, who Matt's already mentioned. Adam Wicklow, Reese, Kieran, the music guy. They got us to a Primal Scream concert. That was a bit of a turnaround.
We went to Primal Scream.
We went to Primal Scream, so that was a bit of a turnaround.
Rock City.
Yeah, Greg and Laura. We've got Emily and Emma. Did I say that? Emma and Emily? Emma.
Yeah.
You mentioned them. Big shout out to them. They asked for shout out. We had sang some 80s songs and drowned our sorrows in the NAV after. Emma and Emily, legends. Damien, a bloke, I think
it was bad. We went to buy a round, and I honestly, in that moment, realised I'd lost my bank card somewhere, which I froze it before anyone tried. If you've got it, you're going to try and nick my money.
There's no money in it.
I don't have any money. That's right, but I froze the card immediately. But it was funny because we were just about to get a round of drinks, and I thought I've honestly just lost my card, and it looked like I was going, I've offered to buy a round of drinks, and I'm not now going to pay for it. So sorry about that.
Well, what's funny is the day started with Matt streaming blood down his face, trying to shave downstairs in the bathroom, and using moisturiser as hair gel by accident. And I thought, oh god, this is off to a cracker already. And then later on, he goes to me, I've lost my bank card and I've twisted my ankle. So it was animated. That's such a terrible game as well.
Oh, it was a bad one. And I really don't have time to be in Nottingham. Watch.
Will I finish this?
Please do, because we need to go on with this.
Damien, a bloke I met at halftime, you didn't know this. He shook my hand at halftime and was looking for you, and he said he watched the podcast. So shout out to Damien. Dave, who I met at the stadium as well, and Dwayne from Ole Miss Rolling In magazine, met him before the game. He's an absolute legend. Go buy Ole Miss Rolling In fanzine. He does a great job with it. He's an absolute champion.
Does some cool t-shirts as well.
Yeah. How do you want to start this?
Let's just go in hard. Yesterday I came back to the Trent Nav. I noticed that place gets shout outs all over the internet regarding Nottingham Forest and their fan base, but I get back there and I find you, and I'm fuming. I'm so irritated by what I've just seen, and in a really bit of a sour mood. But luckily you were there, and I'm comfortable taking out my negative feelings and my anger to you, my dear friend. And so I came into the pub, but why I want to start with this is you were telling me that I was capitulating, and then by the end of the night, after you painted this picture of yourself as being this measured, we're going to be fine.
This is how you're going to begin.
This is how we're getting to the end of the cab, and you start going, this has ruined my life. I would rather. What did you say you'd rather do than see what happens at the end of the season, or was that just the alcohol talking?
It was. It was 12 o'clock at night, and I had about 12 points. So it was probably the alcohol talking, but I still kind of stand by it. I think I said I'd rather it just stop now, or something like that.
No, you said you'd rather.
No. I don't even remember what I said, but I'd rather you don't say because I don't remember. So let's just leave it at that.
Okay.
But do you know what I'd rather do?
But you didn't want to know what happened to the end of the season.
No,
you were done. You were done.
At that point, I was very upset and fed up. Yes, but can I just say something?
He said he wanted to.
No, but don't say it. I don't remember it, so I don't want you to say it.
Okay.
Or you're gonna have to edit it out because I don't remember. I just want to say one thing here, right? The one thing I will get upset about is I'm getting better at not reacting immediately. So as soon as that goal went in, I've seen it happen a few times before. I've been to a few games where that's happened against Newcastle, St. Patrick's Day a couple of years ago.
Tell me.
Yeah. The one thing I will say is, I love that. Tell me, direct me.
Tell me,
The director.
It's because we're in the same room for the first time.
Shut up then.
We've got cameras, but
yeah, okay, fine. The one thing I will say to you is, and this is the thing that drives me absolutely insane, is I've become better at dealing with that disappointment. At like dealing with it straight away. So it goes in, and like I think one of the lads next to me, nice guy, he goes, I think that's Champions League done. He was devastated. And I was, and everyone on the ground was, and we were all sat there going, gosh, this is terrible. And on the way out, the whole way out, there was devastated faces. And I thought, right, it's my job, because I know what it's like being me, having people come at me and me going, I hate it, it's over. And I know that feeling. It's my job to be, not positive. But
it's your job.
No, but in my head, I'm trying to do it for other people. Be a bit more level-headed. So other people came up to me and I went,
Messiah.
I'm not the Messiah. I'm just trying to get to end of the point. Anyway, I'll try and get there quick. So I felt, look, I'm going to be positive to people the whole way back to the nav with Elliot. Say, listen, this is a terrible result. There's no getting away from it. It's a disaster. But ultimately, we're still in third. There's an FA Cup semi-final coming up. I have to be somewhat hopeful so as not to drag us down. There's 6 games to go. We've got to have the mentality of the athletes that we're going to go again, right? The whole way back, I'm trying to be positive. By the time I got to the nav, I was devastated still. Elliot was talking to me, and I was really distracted. I just thought, just try and get past it. And I was about 25% getting over it, waiting for the other 75% to kick in. Matt shows up and is in complete self-destruct mode. You're in complete self-destruct mode. Yeah. And he's going, it's over. It's crap. We're terrible. We're awful.
I wasn't. I was saying I'm wasting my time.
You said you're wasting your time.
And I was saying you're wasting your time.
And you said, will I never do the podcast again? Is that what you want? And I went, it's up to you. And you went, okay, I won't do it again then. You were in massive self-destruct mode. And I'm not willing to let you off the hook with this.
Well, forget making about the podcast.
It's not about the podcast.
I did bring up the podcast.
About the game. I'm talking about the game.
You said, well, don't do the podcast again. And I went, okay.
I never said, well, don't.
You did.
I didn't. I said, you said, I don't have to do the podcast again. And I said, well, it's up to you. I said, if you don't want to do this again.
I didn't bring up the podcast. I'm not as sad as you.
Oh, you are as sad as yourself. And you are a sad sack of shit.
I said, I did capitulate. I did self-destruct because I was furious. I was so annoyed. I just felt like I've never sat in the City Ground and gone, this is so... I've watched loads of turgid football there over the years. Loads of games where I'm like, God, we're awful. God, it's dross. There's something about how poor it was with where we're at in the journey and this season that made it particularly painful and particularly infuriating as a fan. I didn't mind if we'd lost 3-0 to Everton if I felt that we were trying to cause them some problems of some sort. It was like, it's like, you remember the game wall ball, or some people call it wally. You know, you kick the ball when you're playing on your own with a wall and a ball. Yeah. You kick the wall. It was like Forest were collectively playing a game of wally or wall ball, but every time it bounced, they kicked it against the wall. It like bounced somewhere else on the concrete. It was like watching that for an hour and a half.
I know,
but for 45 quid.
And some questions you got to ask is like, what have we been doing in training all week? If this is what we're doing, we had a week. I get all that.
And also, by the way, we've got Wood and Alanga, but everyone's going, what are we going to do with that Wood and Alanga?
They're not 100%, but okay, yeah.
Sure. Well,
hang on.
Why are they playing? I don't know. What do we really know as fans about? Surely, if they're good enough to play and be put in the squad, they shouldn't be at any risk. Like if they're not 100%, aren't we putting them at risk? Isn't that what we did to Taiwo last year?
Alanga didn't start. So that they didn't put him at risk because they didn't start him.
Sure, but then you expect him to be able to do what he does when he comes on at 60 minutes, and he didn't.
Yeah, but he might not have been. I mean, look.
If you're making that argument that you save him,
I'm not making.
You don't start him because he's not able to for whatever reason, he still presumably is then fit enough and capable to come on and do what he does at 60 minutes.
For sure, but I think that the team in general had an off day yesterday. Didn't Wood play a full 90 almost? Am I right?
Yeah, Wood played it all.
Yeah, but he hadn't played a few games, right? He'd been out for 3 or 4 games, so obviously he's rusty. Now, he hadn't scored prior to that for a few games either, so he's been off form for the last sort of month and a half.
I guess what I'm saying is all the preamble was what we're going to do without them. What we've just proved is that's irrelevant. Whether Wood, Taiwo, Elanga, or whoever else is or isn't playing, the team have to... There's something else that went awry yesterday that is more problematic, actually, than any of the injuries. Because we've done well. Did Callum Hudson-Odoi have a good game? You tell me. Because I've argued before that I thought he was slow. But I'm clearly wrong. He's clearly a fast player. He's clearly a threat. But I still see him and I think, why does he look...
What's the question?
Why does was Elanga really bad yesterday? Not Elanga. Was Callum Hudson-Odoi slow yesterday?
It wasn't slow. He was just poor, in my opinion. There was a couple of shots
He
off.
gets the ball and he seems to be...
So what's the specific question? Because you're asking vague stuff. Are you asking about his speed? Are you asking about whether he was good or not? Are you going to go back to your point about the team? Like, what's the question about
My question
yesterday?
is about Callum Hudson-Odoi because it dates back to... I've always had this weird... I feel like I've been proven wrong because I think he's a great player. I'm really glad we have him. But to my own eyes, I watch Callum Hudson-Odoi and I go, he looks slow and clumsy to me.
He's not.
Okay, so what is it that I'm seeing? Is it just the way his legs move or something? I don't know. Or is it my eyesight?
Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
Half the time I don't know what you're seeing, right? I'll be honest with you. Sometimes you bring up points about things that are completely irrelevant to the whole game.
Do you think Callum Hudson-Odoi looks quick and fast and slick and urgent? And
Yesterday, I felt like his decision-making was off. That was my thing. He was making a couple of chances. In the first half specifically, he was on my side, so I could see exactly where he was. And I felt like he kept trying to cut inside. And I know that's his trademark. But there was times where I'm going, that's Jake O'Brien. He's a 6'5" lad. Yes, he can stretch his legs, but you can beat him on the outside. So just beat him on the outside, and then hopefully we crash the box a little bit. Obviously, crosses wasn't going to be our thing because they had Tchaikovsky and Branthwaite and big lads at the back. But I felt like once you've tried to cut inside twice and it hasn't worked out because they've doubled you, maybe go on the outside and maybe change strategy a little bit. But like that's my opinion on decision making of what he.
But do you know what I mean?
Him.
You know, when you specifically watch Callum Hudson-Odoi, do you not think the time between receiving the ball and, I don't know, controlling it and then moving on to run or pass, it's that there's always like this extra half beat with him. And it might literally just be his physicality.
No,
my interpretation of that.
Personally, I think
I always
hear me
think,
out.
God, is he slow?
No.
Yeah.
Sometimes Callum Hudson-Odoi, in my opinion, I might be wrong, but sometimes Callum Hudson-Odoi does this thing where he takes the ball, takes a moment, sees the men coming towards him, and takes a second to slow it down so he can make a decision. Whereas Elanga...
Maybe that's what I'm seeing then.
Yeah,
You've answered the question.
whereas players...
Thank you so much. The Messiah has spoken for me. I'm grateful. I'm not being
sarcastic.
No, I'm being serious.
Well, I might be wrong.
I'm joking about you being the Messiah, but that's what I wanted to know.
I've answered the question as to what I think it is. It doesn't mean I'm right. Someone out there might say, sorry, Chris, you're talking crap. Matt, you're definitely talking crap. Like, I don't know. But my answer would be is a player like Elanga and Brennan Johnson...
This is all crap.
Just hear me out.
Yeah.
Players like Elanga and Brennan Johnson are more explosive and they need space to run into and they get in behind. Hudson-Odoi is more of he picks up the ball, he beats a man, he cuts inside. So when he picks up the ball, he's not going to run straight into the man. He's going to take a moment, say, come on, let's go, and then try and beat him. His decision making, in my opinion, was off yesterday. That's specifically about him. The rest of the team, as for the rest of the team, and we'll get to that now, yesterday in general was just poor. And I don't know whether it was Nuno's strategy going in because it felt like Moyes had the beating of us the whole game. I don't think we deserved anything from that game. I think a point would have actually been a good result based on the performance, right?
Yeah.
So my real question is to everyone, including you, I don't know if you're going to give me the answer or not, is what does Nuno do between now and Monday? We've got loads of time. Aina probably won't be back, but Moreno I thought Moreno was okay yesterday, to be honest, but I'm saying next week, Wood should be up to speed now again. Elanga should be back starting. What do we do going to Spurs, who they have dangerous players? They may have lost to Wolves
They're going to have to treat it like a cup final. They're going to have to go in and go, they can try and play their game and sit and be safe like they did against Villa and do that, but they risk what happened to Villa if they do that, and at Newcastle. And then this defensive masterclass we want to put on show every time. If we can't do that as well as we did against Man City and Arsenal the other week, then we should be going all out attack. Nuno needs to say, look, unless we can definitely do what we did against Man City and definitely achieve something, then we might as well go and risk it. And we might as well fly forward and do something completely unexpected and different. Maybe not the whole time, but maybe he's got to be creative and he needs to do... we have to hope that the players are on side and in the mood for it. I'm hoping Murillo doesn't need any self-motivation after his mistake, because he's just done what he did against Man United, which was amazing. And while you have to do the give and take that we kind of talked about before we did this podcast episode today, we discussed the fact that I think that I was like, oh, and he's done what he did against Man United. He's gone and undermined that by taking that touch and screwing us up yesterday at the time that you did, and you were like, no, you got to do both. You got this and you got to take that. And I'm like, do you though? Consistency.
Man,
doesn't he? If we're going to qualify for Champions League, you need to be consistent. 100%. So therefore, he has undermined what he did at Man United on the line.
Oh, so that's the argument you want to have? Because I'll tell you now.
It's not an argument I want to have. Well, no, I'm just sort of talking about what you asked me what Nuno has to do, and I'm sort of.
Well, no, but you led into something else. You specifically go into a player.
Well, it's about getting them all.
No, but this is my problem with you.
But
this is my problem with you. You fixate on specific players and specific moments. Like, we spent 10 minutes talking about whether you think Callum Hudson-Odoi is slow or not, or another 5 minutes is going to go off on whether Matt thinks Murillo needs to be more consistent or not. We've played 32 games. He's been pretty bloody consistent for 32 games. But you're right, he made a mistake. He'll know that in his head.
And therefore,
let me speak. Right. I heard you a second ago. This isn't a conversation right now. It's just me talking.
Yeah.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
For a change.
It's not a change. It's just shut up for a second. My point is, we can't keep talking about just, Murillo. It's very easy to go, that big mistake at the end. It was a big mistake. Everyone, including him, will know that, right? A few weeks ago, he played for Brazil in a game against Argentina, got hooked at half-time. We came back against Brighton, clean sheet, 120 minutes, was brilliant. The next game was against Man United, clear off the line, was brilliant. So he had a reaction to that, and I'm hoping he'll have it again. He hit the bar against Villa.
Yeah, but you're talking like I'm assuming he won't.
I'm not saying he won't. I'm just saying we don't need to... that's not something that needs to be talked about.
All right.
I'll tell you what...
just asked... I was thinking about what Nuno... You asked me what does Nuno have to do...
And you went on to a player.
Yeah, because he comes to mind, because it's about... How to, this isn't just about...
Tell me what Nuno's going to do. Forget the player. Tell me what Nuno's going to do.
I think he needs to be creative and very, very courageous. But my point is it's about motivation as well, and I don't understand that. I've never been...
You're not motivated.
I'm very motivated.
Okay.
Not around you, for obvious reasons.
What are those reasons? Exactly. So just let's get back to football.
What do you mean exactly? The
because
reasons. Because you quash any... you quash process. You're not interested in discussion. You're not interested in proper preparation, research, fine-tuning of ideas. You're not interested in
hang on a second. The fact that you've just gone and told all of our listeners that basically you're saying I'm lazy and I don't have proper process.
No, you're not lazy. I didn't say you were lazy.
Yeah, but
I said you're not. You asked me why I don't want to be.
You don't do any process for this. Or anything.
Not anymore, no.
Well, you're downstairs all day editing away some crap that you should have done at 1 o'clock, and you're going, I can't get through it.
Yeah, but you mean I'm at work?
No, I mean that you didn't do your work
moaning about what I'm doing for a day job at the minute.
I'm just saying. I'm saying your process was all over the place for that.
What process? What do you mean?
We're not going to have an argument about this. They want to talk about Forest.
Yeah.
Let's get back to that. Sorry, everyone. That was my fault. I brought that in. Just like what I want to... I'll tell you what. Bring it back down. What I want to focus on genuinely is how are we going to win an away game, because our away form has fallen off a cliff. And I know we beat Ipswich a few weeks ago.
When was it last good? When was our away
That's
form?
What I mean. It was last good before Wolves, which is January.
And before Wolves, how many did we
Everton
win?
we beat a few.
So how many in a row?
We beat Brentford, Everton, Wolves all away, and they were tricky enough games. I mean, Wolves wasn't tricky at the time. Everton were poor. Brentford was a tricky game. They hadn't lost a home.
But so our good form away from home this season was 3 games in a row. Is that what we're saying?
No, I mean, no. Prior to that, we'd beaten Liverpool in sort of like September. Away from home, which is a big win. We drew with Chelsea in October. You and I were at that game. So we did pretty well away.
Yeah, so we
drew Brighton away from home. We did really good.
Basically, until Christmas, we had good away form, but since Christmas, we've had
since January, early January, and my problem,
which is basically Christmas.
Yeah, my problem with that is once we lost 5-0 to Bournemouth, after that we haven't seemed to be able to catch up. We lost to Fulham, we then lost to Newcastle, and we were outperformed in those away games. Against Ipswich, we won, but Ipswich are going to get relegated this season, right? Let's be honest. So They've
just drawn with Chelsea, thank God.
Yeah, I know, but still, let's be honest, right? So, and then we go and do what we did.
God, it basically means we needed that point.
Who did we play after? We played Villa away. Okay, we played reasonably well in the second half, but we lost. Like you said, we lost one of ourselves. The first half game was over at half time. No striker.
It doesn't count. It was the least that they could have done was the second half. They also couldn't bang any of them goals.
My point is we're not even picking up draws away from home anymore.
No.
So we've
or at home.
Yeah, well, now we've lost. Well, it was one home game. It's the first home loss since November. Have some perspective, right? But I'm talking about away specifically. Okay.
Thank you so much for your
What?
Perspective.
I'm just annoyed because you just said the thing about being.
You're just getting annoyed for the sake of getting annoyed.
I'm not. You said something about our home form. Our home form has been amazing. No, there's no. Our home form has been amazing. It's been the best. Some of the best home form in the league. Yeah. Since November, we hadn't lost a home game, or early December.
Sure, it's been solid. We're not free scoring.
Solid.
We're not.
Solid. Yeah. 5 months, haven't lost at home in 5 months. It's solid.
How many of that was draws, and how many of it was 1-0?
I'll go through it with you if you want off the top of my head.
Okay, just tell me the answer.
I'll do it.
I don't mind if I'm wrong. Just tell me.
I'll have to work it out.
When you say good form, I sort of go, really?
I'll have to work it out. We beat Man United away, and then we beat Spurs. I know we beat Spurs at home. I know we drew at Liverpool. I know we beat Southampton at home. I know we beat Brighton 7-0 at home. I know we beat Man City at home. I know we drew with Arsenal 0 all at home, which is actually a good result. I know we beat Man United last week at home.
Very lucky too. But
but you asked me the question. I've given you the answer.
I'm gonna get ruined for saying we were lucky too.
Yeah, you're just in that mood. I just want to go back to.
We were brilliant, mate. I'm sounding like I'm getting caught in this thing where I always sound like I'm down on Forest. I'm specifically talking about Everton game yesterday.
Well, can we talk about the away stuff? Can we talk about the away stuff?
Yeah, if you want.
I just want to know.
Like, suppose because we're going away next.
That's what I mean. We're not.
There's something about big stadiums as well. I don't know if we can win at Tottenham. I just honestly, I can't see it.
I know you've told me that already.
No, but can you? Can you honestly see a version where you go, you know, we can pull this off?
100%. Yeah, I can see it. Of course, I can.
Yeah,
of course. But my issue is coming into this game against Everton. We said everyone I think thought right. We've got Everton at home. Spurs away is going to be tricky. Then we've got Brentford at home. That's tricky, but we could win it. Then we've got Palace away. That'll be tricky. And then they're like, then we've got Leicester at home. We've been relying on we'll win the home games. I think that's kind of a mentality thing that's been happening the last month or two.
It's a cliche as well.
No, but it's true because we've been losing the away games and we've been winning the home games. So it's like, okay, we go into Everton, we lose to Everton. It's now like, I think we need to win an away game. Like, I do think we need
we do need to because we've lost. Yeah, we had to win yesterday. I think.
Well, if we win our next 3 home games, we'll probably get Champions League.
I was complacent yesterday. I was expecting a win yesterday, and I didn't for a minute think we'd lose it. Dad even said, didn't he, before we left to go to the game, he was like, I think you'll lose today. And we're like,
why are you saying that? Yeah.
And we're like, yeah. But I just like...
I honestly felt like in my heart, I was like, it'll be a draw or we might nick a late winner. I didn't think we'd win by more than a goal. And I
bet you didn't think we'd lose in injury time.
No, because that doesn't happen often, and when it does, it's a devastating. It's a punch in the gut.
I met Matt Sells before the game. That was cool. Very briefly.
You met Matt Sells, did you?
Yeah.
Just be honest with them. Did you meet Matt Sells? You said hi to him, or did he just walk past you?
No, I said hi.
Did he? And he went.
He walked past, and I said hi, and he went, "Hello, hi, mate."
That's it. Just a hello.
Yeah.
Okay, but you made it sound like you went and spoke to him, had a conversation with him before.
Did I? No, I mean, I met him in person, in the flesh. It was cool.
Okay. What's that?
Oh no, it just came.
Yeah,
to my
look,
mind.
I mean, to be fair, as far as the day goes yesterday, the good part of it was before the game where our lives weren't ruined at that point, but before the game where me and Matt went to the stadium. We had a little bit of a chit chat outside. We bumped into a few people. We were at the shop. I kind of like all that. We were chatting to a few people.
It's nice getting there early, yeah. Not having any booze in the system.
No, not drunk yet or depressed. Yeah. And then we got to this nav and we had a fun time. Met lots of people there that we listed earlier. But my point is, it was a good half day.
It's funny just watching all the people that work for Nottingham Forest arrive, turning up, driving in just everyday cars. And then every 4 cars that arrive is like either a Ferrari or a souped up Bentley. It's like, right, that's Dominguez, that's Morgan Gibbs White.
Range Rovers, Bentleys.
Music on, people saying, "Hello, Morgan," through the window, and he's just like ignoring them, but with his music on, like feeling like the.
I remember I turned to you and I went, "At 21, I was buying myself a 500 quid car. This is look, these guys." And
not even.
Yeah.
21.
Yeah, it was embarrassing. But
I've got a £2,000 car now, and I'm 39.
Okay.
2,000 quid, 39.
That's funny.
I've probably spent more on parking tickets than I have on cars.
That's definitely a fact. I know that.
Do you reckon that's true? Can you imagine?
I would say it is true.
I doubt it can be, can it?
Well, if you add up those 21 parking tickets in 5 weeks, you'd be getting close. Anyway, we should talk about football. Let's get back to football. I just want our white form to turn around. And we actually look happier than, maybe it's because Chelsea drew, but I look happier than, we look happier than we were yesterday.
Gosh, yes, they were in bits.
We were in bits, yeah.
We were blaming each other as well, which was funny. You're getting annoyed at me being annoyed about the game, and then you just capitulated in the car home. And you're like, I can't deal with this.
No.
This has ruined my life.
Yeah. But I was trying to hold it in so as not to make you feel worse. It felt like you were unloading on me and didn't care if I felt worse. You were like, I think you were trying to needle at me, but you came in. We're screwed, Chris.
No, because I knew you wouldn't be honest. I came in.
I am honest.
You weren't. You were like trying to.
Yeah, because I'm trying to make myself feel better. But you know that you don't need to push more, do you?
I like I like us getting to the truth.
No, you like the pain, and you want me to have it with you. And I had it already yesterday, so why give it to me again? That's my problem with you.
Well, what's the point of having mates if you can't? What we're gonna
dig
do?
them out. Okay.
Like we've got to move on to Spurs because dinner's ready.
How
long have we been going? How long have we been
Matt's
going?
partners. We've been going about 25 minutes. Matt's partners cooked us dinner. Yeah, look, we decided we do. Will I talk to you guys? I think I will. We decided we do an impromptu episode together because we're ready together. And my voice is obviously gone. We had a good day in Nottingham and a good night in Nottingham despite the terrible result. But yeah, look, it was just one of those days that you can't.
Do you want to tell us how we get through Spurs to wrap this up?
Yeah, I want to. Yeah.
Tell us. You say you can see us winning. Talk us through that. It'd be a nice thing to end on. And you're always very positive, and it's a bit motivational. Go on, hit us with how does Nuno get the team to beat Spurs away next week?
I think this is look. As fans, you're going to get fuming. I am fuming at some of the stuff that happened yesterday. I'm fuming at the performance. I'm fuming at the strategy because it didn't seem to work. I'm fuming that we didn't see or foresee what was going to happen yesterday with David Moyes was going to come in, lots of big physical players, drag the game out and then try and nick it at the end. Like we knew that would happen, and actually Everton nearly nicked it throughout the game. So I'm fuming at that. I'm fuming that we can't seem to score any goals at the moment. We seem to score one every game, every other game. 0-0 with Brighton, then 1-0 against Man United, then 1 in the game against Villa. Look, I just think we need to be scoring more goals. And hopefully Chris Wood helps with that. But going into next week, my biggest fear is that, the weekend could start and a lot of teams could win. And by Monday, we could be 6th or 7th. I think.
But how do we win next week?
So next week, I mean, I don't know if that's feasibly possible. I think it actually is. We could be 5th or 6th or 7th.
But how do we win next week? How does Nuno get the team to win next week? How do you see it happening?
I think it's going to sound so boring, but I think he just goes back to basics more of the same.
The opposite of what I think.
No, as in like, I don't think he needs to change anything. I think he needs to tweak things, but I think you said you're worried, you don't know if we can go to a back 5 or a back 4. We need to change things completely. Like, look at the Brighton game.
No, I think he needs to
the Brighton game away, that was a really difficult place to go in the FA Cup. Everyone went. Brighton were on a massive run, by the way, at that point, right? Massive run. They'd only drawn one game against City. The rest, they won like 5 in a row. And everyone was tipping them for the Champions League. And we played them in the FA Cup. And we went to their home ground. And we were class for the first 45 minutes. And then in the second half, we were pretty good as well. So I looked at that game and he went, you know what? I'm just going to smother these guys. I'm going to play loads of midfielders and we're going to smother them and put pressure on them. And we're going to press a bit more than we usually do. And it threw them off. And throughout the whole game, they couldn't really get a foothold. And I think that that's kind of what he has to do against Spurs is come up with a slightly tweaked strategy against Spurs, but with the same formation. And I think if he does that, we can go and get something. But I do think Spurs are dangerous. A lot of their players are back. Van der Ven, Romero, they've got the likes of Jess.
So you think you can see that we can do it, but you're not confident that we can do it? You can see it happening.
I can't pretend.
You're not as negative as me about it.
I can't pretend to be confident off the back of two losses.
Great, so you're not confident that we can win next week. Cool.
No, but do I believe we can? Yeah. If you had to give me a score prediction now, I'd say you're going to have to wait till Thursday where they play their away game at Frankfurt. Will Ange be sacked after that game? Will he still be there? Will they have picked up any injuries? Will they be fatigued? I'd have to see. Does that game go to 120
Ange isn't getting sacked.
Whatever.
Give us a prediction. That's why we're here.
Will you give me your prediction?
Assuming that we're going with your thought, which I hope we are, that Forest can win, then I see it being a... Can you imagine? I'm going to go... If we're going to win it, we're going to win it 2-1 to Forest.
Wow, so you're getting a prediction. That's positive.
Yeah, I mean, what I think is going to happen, my misery guts mind is telling me that we're going to lose. It's going to be Brennan Johnson that scores.
Yeah, but that could happen. We're playing away at Spurs. You never know. They either show up or they don't. Here's where I'm going with this. I'm going to say
2-1 Forest.
Yeah, and I'm not going to predict a loss because regardless of whether I feel right now that we're going to lose, I'm just not going to do it because hopefully by Friday that hope will have built me back up and we're in the FA Cup semi-final and we are still in third and Spurs are still not as good as us and hopefully that hope will build me back up. So I'm going to do the Chris prediction from Friday later this week, not the Sunday after Everton. If it was today, I'd say we're going to lose, but I'm going to pretend today is not today. I'm going to go back to the future and say we're going to win, and I'm also going to say 2-1, and we'll go with that.
He's copying me. After all that, he's copying me.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone. It was great seeing everyone yesterday. Not great watching Forest yesterday, but it's always a pleasure to go to the City Ground. And Chris, great seeing you again today. Good luck on your flight home tonight, and I'll catch you soon, mate.
Thanks a million.
Do a clap before the end of this.
I will, yeah. Follow us at forestallover on Instagram. Like and subscribe if you got this far. You probably didn't. Follow us at...
Stop saying that.
Because most people don't.
Yeah, but it's indulgent. I'd rather they just didn't and you didn't comment on it.
Yeah, but you don't need to... Yeah, but...
It makes it sound like you're going to woe is me.
It's not a woe is me. It's just I forget and I always say the same thing. It's like a default. I wish I'd said it at the beginning. Maybe you could cut this, put it in the beginning. Like and subscribe, folks, to this video. Thanks. Put that in the beginning.
Do your clap. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks a million.
Bye-bye.
Sorry about that and sorry about Forest.
Have great weeks. Have great weeks. Have great weeks.
It's a good season despite the results.
You Reds.
Yeah, all right.
Clap, you, Chris and Matt.